Assalamu alaikum and good morning all. Well, my name is Shathir, as you have heard. The paper I am presenting today is called Perceived Purposes of Performance Appraisal and Appraisal Satisfaction, Insights from the Maldives Civil Service. Along with me, two other also co-authored in preparing this paper. They are Aishat Lisa. She is a senior lecturer in MNU Business School, also the acting dean. And the other is Nuha Ismail. She is a lecturer in MNU Business School. Now, because I'm talking about performance appraisal, I will be quickly looking at the problem statement first, why we choose the topic of performance appraisal, and why it is important to do a little bit of research in understanding performance appraisal. I will also look at the literature review, and then the hypothesis, and then the methodology, and then I will go into the results and discussion from the results. Now let's begin with trying to understand why we decided to choose on performance appraisal as the topic for this paper. Now let me ask you a question to begin with. How many of you here really like the way performance appraisal is conducted in your office? Can you raise your hand? How many of you really like the way performance appraisal is conducted in your office? Not a single hand? Let me reverse code the question. How many of you don't like the way performance appraisal is run in your office? All right, so you did understand the question, okay. So yeah, so that is the fundamental reason why we were interested in trying to understand the problems associated with performance appraisal and trying to understand insights that can lead us to really improve the way we conduct performance appraisal. Not just in public sector, but also extending to private sector as well. Now, there are some reasons why performance appraisal is very important to any organizations. To begin with, we use performance appraisal as a way to really align people's efforts and their performance to organizational objectives. So this is the tool you have as managers to make sure people, when they are working on their jobs, when they are putting efforts, when they are coming to work day in, day out, are they really helping the organization achieve set goals? Are they really assisting the organizations to reach the strategic goals or not? So this is the tool, main tool that you are working with. If it isn't working well, if you can imagine, if it isn't working well, then how can you really tell your employees, right? How can you really tell people in your institutions are contributing towards achieving those goals? How can you really tell they are adding any value at all, right? Secondly, appraisal is also the key way through which you will be motivating your employees, because you will be talking to your employees when you are conducting appraisal or performance management. You will be giving feedback, you will be talking about issues as well. And thirdly, when we look at the literature and research in the past few decades on this topic, we see that performance appraisal is really hated by everyone. So it's not surprising that nobody's hand was up, right, when I asked the question. It is also not only true here in the Maldives or in civil service or public sector, it's been true for many other contexts as well, in developed countries, in various cultural contexts. We have been trying to identify how to utilize performance mechanisms uh, and use it more effectively. But the issue is that employees had it and also managers had it. One of the reasons why employees usually hate it is because they consider this kind of appraisal, especially the formal performance appraisal, as just waste of time, right? They consider it as bias. They consider it as favoring different employees. They also think that it is not really representing the actual true performance of employee. It is not really reflecting the actual work that the employees are putting in, right, in their organizations. Supervisors and managers also dislike it because the tool really aren't enabling them to connect with the employees. The tool really isn't helping managers as well. So that's the reason why we decided to choose on this topic, right, and conduct our research. Now, let me quickly look at the literature review on this. Now, because this is performance appraisal, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of researches, both empirical and theoretical, on this topic. But I would like to highlight on two main points to summarize the research that are relevant to us. The perceived purpose of performance appraisal significantly impacts appraisal satisfaction. Now, we are looking at only one dimension of performance appraisal. That is the way performance appraisal is used in the organization, right? So it has been well established in literature that if employees see that how the performance appraisal is used in the organization, that will affect their satisfaction of the appraisal as well. Secondly, the developmental purpose tend to enhance employee satisfaction more effectively than the administrative purpose. Now, I will get into this dual purpose and what we mean by those developmental and administrative purpose as well. So the literature is showing that if we are conducting appraisal for the developmental purpose, it will enhance employee satisfaction regarding the appraisal. They are more likely to accept the results. They are more likely to see it as more accurate. Now, this is the research question we are asking, is what is the relationship between perceptions of PA purpose, that is performance appraisal purpose, developmental purpose, and administrative purpose, and PA satisfaction with the Maldives civil service. So we are asking the question, very simple question, what is the relation, what kind of relationship is there between the way we are using the appraisal and the appraisal satisfaction? Now there are two ways. So what is the relationship between when we are using the appraisal for the developmental purpose, and what is the relationship between when we are using for the administrative purpose, between those purposes and performance appraisal satisfaction? When we are using appraisal for the developmental purpose, we mean by this is that we are trying to help employees improve, right? Our goal is to assist our employees develop. To do that, we will be engaging in continuous feedback. If your supervisor is really using appraisal for the developmental purpose, then the supervisor will be engaging in every day, basically, in providing, helping you, providing feedback and assisting you to develop. If the appraisal is largely used for developmental purpose, then you will see your supervisor as a coach, as a mentor, right? Trying to help you out always. On the other hand, if it is used for developmental or administrative purpose, then you will see your supervisor and a disconnect between your supervisor, especially if you are discussing the appraisal issues. So you sit with your supervisor at the beginning of the period to set goals, and then halfway through the period you will be again discussing the progress of the goals, and at the end of the period, that usually is 1 year, then you will discuss to what extent you were able to achieve certain goals and you were not able to achieve certain goals. This is when we are simply using appraisal for administrative purpose. Now, the idea of administrative purpose is simply collecting appraisal data and trying to make some administrative decisions. And largely in organizations, we are talking about promotion decisions, right? Dismissal decisions, or taking disciplinary action, or providing salary increment based on that appraisal results. So this is the question we are interested in, trying to identify the relationship between these two aspects. And we set these hypotheses, two main hypotheses of the paper. One is there is a positive relationship between the developmental purpose and appraisal satisfaction. So that is from the literature. We have seen that many argue that there is a positive relationship when we are using for developmental purpose. Now, the second hypothesis, there is a negative relationship between the administrative purpose and appraisal satisfaction. So that is also coming from literature. However, I would highlight that there are different studies, again, providing contradictory or different results regarding this correlation between administrative purpose and appraisal satisfaction. All right. So this is the methodology. We decided to use quantitative research, and our target population was basically the entire civil service. We excluded two ranks of employees from our target population. They are support service staff and executive staff. We excluded support service staff primarily because we weren't able to really collect data using the existing instrument from the support service staff. The executive staff were excluded primarily because they use a different system of performance management. They use more 360-degree type of performance appraisal. So from the civil service, we collected different samples that add up to around 381. So this is enough to draw conclusions from that population. We used structured questionnaire built from the literature review, which is highlighted here. So basically, we use 3 questionnaire items to measure developmental purpose and 3 questionnaire items to measure administrative purpose. So as you can see, the administrative purpose and developmental purpose have higher degree of Cronbach's alpha, providing high degree of internal consistency. For satisfaction with performance appraisal, we use 2 questionnaire items. It has alpha of 0.7, which is a little bit lower, but still generally acceptable in these kind of studies. Now I will quickly look at some of the results, some of the demographic results. So our sample generated about 76% female participated in our studies, and 23.9 were male. When we consider managerial and non-managerial, 66% were non-managerial and 34% were managerial staff. And majority belong to age from 20 to 40 years in between. When we consider the year of service, around 43% were over 10 years of service. Now, if we look at the main hypothesis results, the association between the perceived appraisal purpose and satisfaction, so this is the Pearson correlation that we have done. For hypothesis 1, we were able to get positive results showing that strong correlation between these two. That is, when we are using appraisal for developmental purposes, it tends to correlate well with the appraisal satisfaction. For our second hypothesis, it was not supported in the sense that we also got a positive correlation between administrative purpose and appraisal satisfaction. It is not as strong as developmental purpose, but still we hypothesized a negative relationship to exist between these two variables, but a positive relationship existed. Now, what do we understand from these key findings? The key point to set here is if we are using appraisal for developmental purposes, it will enhance appraisal satisfaction better than administrative use. And also, we need to consider administrative side of it as well. That means if we consider how to administer appraisal, it will also have an effect on the satisfaction score. When we compare these results, we find that, as we highlighted before, the administrative is quite contradictory, highlighting it when it compares to findings such as Boswell and Baudru, it contradicts with their argument. So meaning that we also need to focus on how we are administering the appraisal if we want to really make employees satisfied with the appraisal results. Now, based on these findings, we are making some key recommendations, which include to emphasize developmental purpose, we need to conduct training for supervisors. We need to train the managers, particularly to enable them to be better coaches, right? So they need to be able to provide continuous feedback in day in, day out. And also, we need to focus on personalized goal setting. And again, supervisors need to be able to help employees set goals that are related to their own development, that are related to continuous improvement as well. With regard to administrative use, we need to clearly communicate how administrative decisions are made in the organizations regarding the appraisal data and appraisal scores. And we need to have transparency in the way we are making these decisions. And whether it is promotion decisions or whether it is salary increment that employees are getting after the appraisal. Now, if we consider some of the limitation of these studies, we can point out that we are using or relying on largely on self-reported data, and we are not including any impact factors in this study. We have just analyzed appraisal use and its relationship with the appraisal satisfaction. And future research needs to come in and really identify these impact factors that are causing satisfaction to occur, which we will be doing the later part of our research project, which we have already collected data on this. So in conclusion, I would like to highlight that we investigated the relationship between the dual purposes of appraisal and appraisal satisfaction. And we need to highlight more on what we are doing in terms of developing employees using appraisal compared to administration. And to enhance administration, to enhance developmental purpose, we need to train our supervisors because they would be owning this process of conducting appraisal in a meaningful way. That's basically it. Thank you very much.